All right, we're gonna go live. We'll be about 20 seconds behind,
Okay.
Oh,
and
like your fancy virtual studio.
you, you like that?
It's much better than my kitchen.
I'm gonna see if it's coming, if it's echoing there. I hope not.
Check, check, check.
You're not hearing it. Are you seeing it live? You seeing
Not
it?
yet.
Well, I've not. I'm not looking.
No, no, I meant David.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
checking.
excellent. Excellent.
You're not hearing it. Are you seeing it live? Oh, there is an echo. No, no, I meant
All right.
David.
Oh yeah, I'm listening to the YouTube. It is echoing
It is echoing. Dang
on
it.
YouTube.
All right. Why is that?
Hear myself back faintly
Yeah.
delayed in the background.
All right. You know, I hate this L12. What a piece of
Yep.
crap.
Oh no.
So we're tracks 9 and oh, okay, let me do this. Okay. Now someone say something.
Something.
No?
One thing.
Still echoing.
Yeah, it's still echoing.
Oh, dang
And technical problems. Not
That's
fair.
better.
it. Is it better now?
Check, check. 1, 2. Test, test.
Testing one, two, three.
I'm still seeing you
Hello.
bounce here, but I turned off those channels. So when you guys talk, I think is when the echo is coming through.
Check, 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 check. 1, 2. Test, test.
Hello there.
No, it's still doing it.
Still doing it? Dang it. All right.
Both of us.
Uh,
Let's do this. All right, bear with me.
Hmm.
Ooh, sparks. I love when there are sparks.
ow. You must be doing something right then.
Yeah.
At least there's electricity. It
All right.
could be worse.
Okay. I'm going to cut all audio on this end for a second. Pulling everything down.
No worries, Mike. You only have 2 minutes to fix it. Then we're fine.
Still there?
He's somewhere. Oh, Tim Cook is on stage.
Oh,
Oh, I haven't.
why is it coming out through there now?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
fun.
I guess the Apple TV didn't.
Check, check, check. Oop. All right.
Oh, we won't be able to see that live. They're not showing because they're not streaming live. They're streaming the keynote. That's why.
That should be better.
Check.
Sounds good
Te-
from here, but I'm not looking at the YouTube video.
Except why am I not?
Yeah, it's better for me, but you're very, very low, Mike.
I'm very low.
Very quiet, yeah.
How about now?
More gain. Whoa,
Bloody hell.
that's
Whoa!
Too much? Too much.
way too much.
Too
Take
much.
that gain down.
Check.
Oh.
One. There. How about that?
A little more.
That's
Oh,
pretty good, yeah.
That better?
Yeah, a little bit more, yeah,
a
cool.
little bit more.
A little bit
You
more
don't
down?
want to go full Robin Williams on us.
Check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check.
That's pretty good.
That's better?
I'd go a smidge more gain.
Okay, I think when I switched audio interfaces, the playback got changed.
All right, now it's going.
Dang it.
Good morning.
Streaming live now.
You can hear me now, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Why don't you guys say something?
Oh,
Welcome to WWDC 2025.
oh, you got your best radio voice. Very good. I'm afraid I can't do that because I don't have any fancy mics.
Oh.
Ah,
How about now?
yeah, that's pretty good. Although you're still a little bit quiet, but
I'd say
I'm quiet now?
a little more gain.
How about now?
I go
How
one
about
more.
now? How about now? How about now? Give me a thumbs up if it's better or worse.
That's good.
That's good? Okay.
good. Good for
You
me.
guys are incredibly quiet. I can't hear you at all, but that's all right. I'll figure it
You
out.
gotta
dear.
hear it so when you want to.
Wow.
Let's talk.
Okay. As long as you can hear me. Hey, Brett, watching live. Can you hear Darren and Dave?
Hey, Brett.
Hey there.
Why am I not seeing the chat?
Waiting for Brett to.
Help to scroll down.
It's going to be about 20 seconds behind.
Wow. I like
I see all your old episodes in the list, but not.
Craig's costume there.
Oh, I know why I can't hear you. Now I bet I can hear you.
There you go. Can you hear
Oh.
us? Check.
Yes.
Hello.
Now I can hear you guys. Okay.
Why am
Ah,
I
you
not
fixed
seeing-
it.
Why am I not seeing
Martin,
the chat?
Brett, how are you guys? Thanks for dealing with the audio problems. Woo! Okay. Hey, should we get started with the show? I think they started on stage, haven't they?
They
They
have
have.
indeed, yeah. Yeah.
Eric's not with us yet, but that's all right. So we're going to just get started. Do you guys want to just like jump into what they're doing, or do you want to do predictions and stuff first?
Oh,
Well, the longer we delay, it'll be a lot more way off, and we'll miss things. So
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, all
We should
right.
just jump straight in. Let's go jump straight in.
Let's jump straight in then. Okay, guys. I'm going to do the intro and then we'll jump straight into what's happening. I'll just throw it over to one of you. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's go back to me. Hey everyone, how you doing?
Hi.
3, 2, 1. It's for Mac Guys Only, episode number 452. Reaction time, WWDC 2025. Oh, I guess I should have said for June 9th, 2025, huh? Hey everyone, welcome back to For Mac Guys Only, the show for the Mac community, where we share our thoughts and opinions on current Mac news and events. And we are back for another WWDC, Apple's annual developer conference, where we expect we're going to hear everything Apple has to say about the latest editions of iOS and macOS and visionOS and watchOS and, oh heck, all of the OSs. And the rumors have been strong that this year will bring not only an overhaul of the look and feel of our favorite OSs, but will also bring with it a bit of cohesiveness as well. No, not the way that some folks hope. We're not going to be running macOS on our iPads, at least not yet. But the way that we interact with our devices may begin to feel a bit more familiar as we hop from one device to another. But before we get started with today's discussion, let's turn to this episode's reaction time panel. First up, of course, is for Mac Eyes Only, for Mac Eyes Only's partner in all things Apple, Darren Davies. Howdy, Darren. How are you doing?
Howdy there. That's easy for you to say.
Easy for me to say. I think I'm a little thrown off by all the audio problems we had at the beginning there. And of course, the host of In Touch with iOS, Dave Ginsburg. Hi, Dave. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. And remember, if you're going to be joining us live, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat room too. So if you have any questions or comments as we move along, just drop them in the chat and we will try to address them here on the show. The keynote has already started. There is something I wanted to say up front here. And that is I wanted to pay a very, very brief tribute to Mr. Bill Atkinson, who just passed away on June 5th. We wouldn't be here today talking about macOS or indeed the iPad without his contributions to the Lisa, the Macintosh, and one of his own personal pet projects that he dubbed the Magic Slate. And though that device never saw the light of day, it weighed under a pound and was controlled by a touchscreen and stylus. Sound familiar? Well, unfortunately, it was ahead of the technology of the time. However, not long after abandoning the Magic Slate project, Mr. Atkinson also worked on a little product for Apple called HyperCard. Of course, those weren't his only contributions to the world that we live in, but I'm going to let folks read up on him on their own. But I did want to mention that very important man to the history of Apple and to the history of the Mac, and I wanted to make sure that we paid a little tribute to him there. And I'm not sure if Apple has already done that or if they will have any brief mention of Mr. Atkinson today or not, but it certainly would be a shame if they didn't. Well, gentlemen, I know things have started. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this view here. And Dave, why don't we start with you? What's been going on stage since we've had a little audio glitches here at the beginning of the show?
Well, Craig Federighi is on stage, and he has been talking about the Apple Intelligence. He did bring it up right away, and they did say that they're having some delays with some of the items. They did add some new things. It looks like here, including more language support. Still got the same items of the writing tools, the Genmoji, image playground, cleaning up photos. And they now have a foundation models framework, which is going to give them more flexibility with the framework of these, with a lot of the AI and other things. So that's been pretty much what they've been focusing on. They're going to go over all the OSs. They did talk about that, and Tim they had an intro at the beginning, which was kind of interesting. Doing the F1 movie is coming out soon. For Apple is producing it, so they
Right.
did a simulated race around Apple Park, the top of the roof. So it was a cool thing so far.
Hey, Darren, what about you? You've shared a few times in the weeks leading up to today that you've got a lot of new hardware, perhaps on your horizon. From what
Yes.
you've heard leading up to today, and what you've heard, if anything, so far, what are you most looking forward to today?
Well, from a hardware point of view, I don't think there's going to be a huge set of announcements of new hardware. As usual for a developer event, it's normally focused on the software and
Hmm.
software side specifically for developers. So although I'm in the market for quite a few devices, they're starting to um, uh, get into an old age pensioner's home at the moment. So I think the next year or two I'll be in the market for buying an iPhone definitely this year, but potentially other things as well. And I'm predicting. Okay, I'll give you a prediction.
Okay.
This is probably dangerous, but I'm predicting that we'll see something that I previously predicted, which is linked to Apple Intelligence, whereby they're able to dive into your health data, which has been gathered by technologies like the watch, for instance, and then be able to use Apple Intelligence to analyze lots of streams of your data and then give you health advice through an updated health app. And that will be my key to jump into buying an Apple Watch. So that might also be on the cards if the prediction comes true.
Okay. Awesome. So, and you don't have a watch yet, do you?
Not yet. No, I've been
No.
waiting. I've been waiting for this very moment. Oh,
And
glassy. Look at that glass. Sorry.
Yeah, liquid
oh
glass.
yes, you know, I saw Brett mention in the chat room that the interface design was on its way.
Liquid glass. There we are.
Anything cool that they're showing us? You know, I've been trying to get the Apple TV app up and running here, and I had it pointed to WWDC earlier, and now it's not showing it at all. So I don't know what the heck is going on there.
Well, there's a little
But
preview here with the phone slider, and it does look extremely fancy. Very, very classy.
I think
yeah, it's
my biggest concern with it really is that Apple not go. You said Darren, you wanted them to jump in with both feet, but
Oh yeah.
I'm a little concerned that they might go a little too far in the transparency area and start giving us
Ah,
transparent Finder windows and transparent browser windows and transparent this and transparent that. I don't mind a few transparent or glassy interface elements, but I don't want I'd prefer that Apple not go nuts over this and make everything transparent on screen. Any indication of what is going on in that
yeah,
regard?
yeah. There is. It's the transparent part of it is the small menu buttons are going up and with it fluidly across all windows that they've shown so far on iPhone. Um, so the bars come across. Looks like widgets are going to be a little more transparent than they were before. Uh, so I think that's pretty cool, I must say. Being very fluid and liquid glass is really what they're calling it.
yeah,
Being
it
able
does
to
look nice.
and the developers definitely dive into this and probably really make some really cool things with this too.
Hmm, very cool. So so far they've just been focusing on iOS.
They've been showing across all platforms, but they did announce that they're going to be universal across all platforms: visionOS, macOS, iOS, and yeah. I see what Brett's saying. The translucent display is going to be really difficult to read, depending on what text you're under. That's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
Ah,
I
very
can't.
good point. Very
That's a
good
good point,
point.
Brett. I uh, I think this is kind of exciting. I mean, I'm going to get it on my beta devices and really want to try this up. So this is and they finally announced the OSs are all called 26, which we knew already.
Which,
It just came up.
yeah, we pretty much knew that
Excellent.
already. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Martine. I have to pull your comment off screen there. I don't know why they got all resized. There we go. All right, let me re-add that back in here again. Martine said he's not a fan of the round app icons.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
What do you guys think?
I
I
I can't.
haven't.
Go ahead, Darren.
Oh, I was just going to say I haven't seen any examples of round app icons yet, and they've just popped up a list of icons, and they don't look round at all. They're squircles still.
Squircles, more rounded squircles, perhaps? That's what I had heard, that it wasn't going to
Slightly
go
more rounded
completely round.
squircles potential, but yeah, they're not circular, put it that way. So I think they look good. They look classy.
Craig was just showing as you know how when you bring up the home screen right when the at the lock screen on the iPhone, you drag it up. It stays with you and the background shows right behind it a lot more fluidly than it has in previous OS.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm expecting some upgraded animations. Although, to be honest, I do turn all the animations off, so I probably wouldn't see anything.
Yeah.
I have, speaking of turning things off, I have used the Mac's accessibility features to reduce the transparency of the windows and menu bar. I would really rather not reduce the transparency of the dock. I like the look of the transparent dock, but I'm not a fan of the transparent menu bar. So the only way to turn that off is to reduce transparency, and that reduces it across the board.
Yeah.
This is true. Oh, you're talking about the Mac at the moment.
I'm talking about Mac. I'm sorry, Darren.
Yes.
They just start talking about, everybody loves to put their pictures and their backgrounds at the home screen. It's going to be more of a 2D effect on any photo that you have. So when you move the phone, you'll be able to see it kind of, moving with the 2D effect.
Oh, okay. Okay. They kind of had that on the background of your home screens in the past.
Yeah, that was with iOS 7, I believe. Yeah, back in the day when that was first announced, they had parallax scrolling as you moved the phone around. So it was a two-layered, sort of a 3D effect, but in parallax layers, which I thought was fabulous at the time.
Yeah,
It kind of went away. Maybe
it
that's
did.
coming back a little bit, and a bit more refined version of that maybe now.
Yeah, I did finally get the YouTube version of this up and running on my phone. What the heck is going on with my technology today, guys? I can't get things
Wow.
working for the life of me. But I guess I need those new 26 versions of all the OSs.
Yeah.
But I have looked at some of the glassy icons, and yeah, they look kind of cool. A little difficult to discern in some cases.
Yeah, potentially. I'm sure, as you said, there's going to be accessibility features to dial this down,
They'll have to
turn it
be.
off, etc. Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and they're doing live fluid with the photos. Well, there's a picture, somebody sitting or standing next to a little bit of a dock of the boat. You can see the boat waving as it's being looked at in camera and photos, and be able to edit these right from the Photos app. You now can. Now photos are now going to have separate tabs for library and collections. Hallelujah! That was the biggest pain in photos for sure.
That is I'm seeing what you're talking about there, Dave. That is bizarre to add that little waving effect to the water and then have it mirror to the ceiling of the dock that the person was sitting on. That's it's a neat effect. I'm not sure I want that effect, but it's a neat effect.
Now they just jumped into Safari. He's showing that the page will be fluid from edge to edge. So you're looking at a page full screen on an iPhone, but the bar is going to be liquid glass. It's going to be transparent across it. So while you're
I
moving
like
it,
that.
I really like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because now
that's
you're
nice.
because we're always when you're in Safari now, you're always dealing with you got the square and you don't and then the bottom bar is not transparent. So this is going to be
Yeah,
really nice.
and you end up obscuring your view of your web page by doing that. So the more translucency you have in the browser, especially,
Yeah.
um, the better to see where you are and what's behind things. So you've got that much more depth to your interface. I really like this transparency. I'm sold on the idea. Bring it on.
And they had posters of your contacts will actually have video posters instead of just a fixed photo. They just talked about that at the end there. and now they're jumping into CarPlay.
Fancy.
Not to be too contrarian, Darren, but if they didn't want the buttons to overlap the content of the website, they could just put them in a bar beneath the content, couldn't they?
Yeah, but then there's lack of space and so on. I like how they're doing things. It's very elegant, overlaying things, and I like it. I think it's really good. It's excellent that Apple supports OSs, new versions of OSs for such a long time for a device. 6 years is the usual, it seems, and that makes it feel like you get a new device every year for free almost, because you just download some software and it feels like a new device. It's like you bought a new phone even though you haven't. So you can have a 5-year-old phone and still be feeling like you've got a brand new device. It's excellent.
That is an excellent point, and we might be lamenting the loss of certain 2019 Macs, when it comes to macOS 26, or perhaps our favorite iPhone that we've had for years and years, because iOS 26 is coming out and that model happens to be dropped. But to your point, a good 5-6+ years is often the normal.
Well, it is in the Apple
support.
world, yeah. I mean, pretty much all their devices get 6 years worth of OS updates. So not only that, they get delivered like clockwork every November. It's not like any other devices that you can go for months waiting for an update to appear. And then further to that, after your 6 years worth of OS upgrades have finished, you get a further 3 to 4 years worth of security support on that same device. So
Right.
in theory, if you wanted to drive it right into the ground, you could have a device that lasts you 10 years and still not feel ancient and not worth using anymore. You could use a 10-year-old device, and that's pretty much unheard of anywhere else.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And while Apple is introducing the next big thing, I see they're talking about they drove up into the Apple campus with a Ford Mustang and showing off some of the features of the new CarPlay. We have Eric Erickson joining us. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
How are you? Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you fine. Glad you could join us today.
Yes, yeah. Me too, actually. I saw the CarPlay thing, and I just read something that like no one's using it, or they haven't I don't think there's a lot of a lot of manufacturers that actually have it installed in there. So I was kind of wondering why, if they're not using it, I guess I don't know. Maybe they showed the Ford Mustang there, but maybe more manufacturers will start using it. I don't know.
Yeah, that it certainly would be nice.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, they went through some of the map features that some cleaner ways where it's going to be a lot less distracting when you're looking at the maps. They just did a deep dive and what's used like 100 million times a day which is the maps, and it gives them a little more. They brought a lot of the liquid glass that we talked about onto the CarPlay view, so it's been really, really cool. And they did add widgets in CarPlay now, that you can have widgets that are available on the screen, which is kind of cool. Yeah,
that is nice. I do like that.
Then they jumped into, of course, CarPlay Ultra for vehicles that are going to have their new system, so they're bringing a lot of this across to that as well. But a lot of vehicles don't have it yet. So.
In fact, Brett agrees with you, Dave. Widgets and live activities are going to be really cool. That's one of the things they were showing off in that Mustang dashboard. And, that's honestly one of the first times I looked at a CarPlay screen and said, gosh, I wish I could have that in my car.
They're talking about a lot of new enhancements to the phone app. They did say there's going to be a unified layout, so the layouts is through across all apps. It's going to be more unified with messages and other apps. So it's going to be a lot clearer. Like the favorites are going to in apps that you put up at the top of the screen I'm sorry, in iMessage, more uniform, nicer, cleaner icons. Because right now the icons are kind of blah. I think because for those who pin up messages at the top that you talk to all the time, they're just kind of circled and kind of blah. These look kind of a little more fresh.
Oh, here's a big one. Here's a big one. I like the look of this, and admittedly, this is something that Android has had for a while now.
Backgrounds.
But no, I was going to say call screening.
Oh, call screening. Right.
Yeah. Where it answers calls from unknown numbers and does that silently in the background. And the caller can then share their name and the reason for the call. And only then does your phone ring.
Yeah, if they do it, because a lot of times they're either robotic or you can't understand what they're saying.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
So if they don't do it, then they're like, you don't even know that there's a phone call that's happened. Some scammers tried to get hold of you. So perfect.
I mean, dumb question, but didn't we have that? I thought we had call screening.
This is a lot more enhanced than that's ever been before because, like Darren said, it was because when you would get the spammers, they would just say likely spam, and then and you could have it set so it just goes right to voicemail. You don't even deal with it. You never hear it ring at all. Now they can do a little more deep scanning. It looks like on this.
Yeah, I think it's right now they have silence unknown callers,
Right.
and you can get like a third-party app like RoboKiller or something like that does this call screening. So now it's like it's going to be built in, so you don't have to get something. I don't know if it's going to be as sophisticated as some of those third-party apps are, or what, but
yeah, I prefer that sort of thing built into the OS.
Yeah.
So this is good.
Yeah.
So some enhancements in iMessage. They add backgrounds. That's kind of fun because you get bored with all the same backgrounds on every message. Now you can make them some really cool different backgrounds. I think it's kind of fun.
Do you? You get bored with the backgrounds of messages,
Yeah,
Dave?
I mean, you look at the same thing all the time.
You're down with the kids, Dave. That's excellent.
Yeah,
It's kind of like they've added polling too. It's kind of like
polls. I was gonna do, creating a poll.
Polls. Yeah, that's very fancy.
They're copying Telegram like one feature at a time.
Yeah,
which is
not?
Awesome.
They did their app. They also added Apple Cache in groups, so group typing indicators. So now you'll be able to see everybody in a group that's typing. When you
cool.
Normally can't.
Group typing indicators. Yeah. There's tiny little things like that make a difference, isn't it? But sometimes you might not even notice that feature's there until you start using it, and you think, "Oh wow, that feels better." I can see what everyone's doing. It's a tiny little feature, but I think those small features adding up make a big difference to usability and how good it feels to use a software.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Director of Input Experiences. There you go. There's a title.
Oh, now they've integrated images that's within ChatGPT. So you can do animations, sketches, emojis, Genmojis. That's kind of cool. And they're right from the screen.
So, so is Apple's image playground using ChatGPT then, or?
Yeah, it seems it.
Which is good because their image playground isn't nearly as good as ChatGPT.
Yeah, you don't want it too good though. You have to be careful. They don't want it too good.
No, I suppose not.
They have to stress that nothing is shared with anything from you while you're using ChatGPT.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice one, Marty.
I know more emoji stuff. Really, I know.
Bring it on for the emojis.
And I knew that was coming. Live translation is going to come up now, so you'll be able to do live translation on the fly. That's really good. Instead of having to go out and go to the live translation app and do your work, that's really great.
Yes.
for built-in models.
That's nice.
And potentially through AirPods as well, although they haven't announced that yet.
No, I heard that rumor though. That sounds pretty cool.
I just hope that internally this was codenamed Babelfish. I mean,
Indeed.
seriously.
Well, you see, if it isn't, then you can generate your own Babelfish icons and through Genmoji or whatever, and then just add them to your display, so you can customize your own Babelfish entry.
Stick
And
that
it has
fish in
to,
the
like-
ear, man.
Yeah, and the AirPod needs to go inside the ear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go,
certainly.
keep going
Yeah.
in.
Oh my
Just make
gosh.
it orange.
AirPods shaped like fish.
Yes, there you go.
There you
There
go.
you go.
That would be awesome.
Corner
That's
the
what we
market.
need.
All you need one of those orange covers for your AirPods. And
Right.
You just slot them in. There you go. You've cornered
Yeah.
the market.
Cornered the
You sell
market.
millions. This time next year, we'd be millionaires.
It
With
also,
a
they
little
also
42
just said,
on it.
sorry.
Still go ahead.
They just also just said live translation as you're speaking. So if you're speaking
yes.
as if you see what you're speaking in English, it automatically translate based on who you're talking to.
Oh, that's sweet.
That is
Yeah,
really
and what
cool.
language they're set to, so the user doesn't really have to do anything.
And they've got an actual API for call translation, so you know the developers are going to jump on this.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the advantages of Apple Intelligence
Yeah.
way of doing things with AI as well, because with the developer hooks, you've got the privacy there, so and the security. So in order for a developer to use those features, they have to go through an operating system call to do it. There's no other way. You either program it that way or it doesn't work. So that ensures that the request that goes through to AI from a third-party app is secure, because it has to go through the OS.
Mm-hmm. Now they're jumping into services, music, maps, and wallet. So they got so they're translating all this over into music too. So lyrics pronunciation, that's really cool. For people who don't understand the English part of the song, it'll translate it into their native language.
Excellent.
I tried to bring Martin's comment up here because he raised a great point about the backgrounds to messages, and that is it's just easier to know what chat you're in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. You can do it per chat. That's great.
Music pins, where you can actually pin music to your library.
Interesting. Oh, lyrics translation. That's quite good.
Yeah.
I'll finally be able to understand what's on my Santana album. Fantastic.
I talk about maps. So it looks like they're enhancing more routines where you go, what you do when you're traveling. So it'll show those routines out in a map here.
All beat matching and time stretching for
Yep.
music shifting from one track to another. I thought that feature already existed, though. It says maps can help you remember your routines in places you've been. Mine does that already. I don't know how that is enhanced.
I think visually enhanced.
Okay.
It's actually showing the route. So
There's been a few things like that this presentation, Darren, where I say to myself, didn't we have
Don't we already
that?
have that?
I thought we had that. Like the live
it's
translation, that seems very, very familiar to me, but I think it's probably a different app I was using, not one of the Apple apps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's more, I think, traditionally more text-based and based on a current translation app.
Yeah.
This looks much more fancy.
I think it's probably because the long lost lamented Skype had that feature. You could do live
Yes.
translations and calls with that, and that's probably why it's coming to mind.
Yeah, that's terrible with Skype. That's
It is. But when was the
Yeah.
last time we used it for the show, Eric?
I know.
I mean, it
Back in
was
the
our
day.
thing.
It was, yeah. It was like COVID happened and Zoom took over, and
Well,
Never
that
looked
and
back.
changes that Apple made to the operating system kind of killed Skype for things like podcasting, because the tools that we used
Yeah.
to record what we were doing no longer worked. So
Yeah.
kind of a,
which
suppose
is
you
too
could-
bad.
yeah.
You could get around them with something like Audio Hijack, I suppose. But it's still trying to get around the problem rather than
Right.
it being seamless.
Yeah, it was just one thing after another piled onto it, starting with the purchase by Microsoft. Although in some ways that kind of
Yeah.
saved it. I mean, if you look at Microsoft Teams, did you guys ever use that feature that they made available to us where you could pull all of your chats from Skype and all of your contacts from Skype into Teams? So they pretty much just,
No.
Nope.
they folded Skype and brought everything into Teams. So that's,
Cool.
Oh,
Little-
which is maybe their idea.
yeah, unification
Oh,
of branding there, I guess. But that's not
Yeah,
what
I
we're
think
here
that
to
was
talk
always the
about.
plan. Yeah.
So I missed it. Are more states adding the driver's license to wallet?
They did
Looks
say
like
that
it.
Great.
more coming. They also
Yeah.
said that in the fall you're actually going to be able to put your actual passport into a digital ID.
Not happening.
Wow.
Oh, that's good. Well, that's it. It depends if the other person asking for your ID actually accepts it in a digital wallet. Because I think some of the states said that you have to have your paper ID with you, even if you've got a digital ID. So it's
Yeah.
well, what's the point of having a digital ID?
Mhm.
Right.
They need to be accepted. I'm sure that'll come in time.
And now we have the Games app.
Oh,
Here's Darren's territory.
uh-oh.
This should be cross-device, shouldn't it? Games,
Yes.
we should see a Games app on
Yeah,
the Mac
yeah.
and iPad.
Well,
iOS?
we've had Game Center before, but then that sort of like hid
Yeah.
itself away back into the settings app because nobody really used it.
Well, it's still there and being used, but
Oh, it's
yeah,
still
it's just kind
there,
of
yeah,
the background. Yeah.
Right in the background, exactly. This will
Yeah.
bring it into more of the forefront, hopefully, and almost be in a way, maybe one day similar to Steam, like an Apple version of the Steam client, maybe.
That's what
perhaps.
the rumor was. Yeah.
Mhm.
And on Vision Pro, this is going to be kind of a game changer because it was always hard to get
Oh, very
to
good. A
games.
game changer.
Yeah, a game changer.
Exactly.
Well, that was my understanding. You mentioned it's a little bit more like Steam, and my understanding was that's what was coming. It wasn't a Game Center-like functionality. It was
Right.
this central place to purchase your games for your device.
Yeah. I think an amalgamation of the game part of the App Store plus your leaderboards and so on, similar to Steam on Windows, that contains the same thing. So not only do you use it to purchase things, you also use it to follow your friends and what their scores are in the games that you share playing with, for instance. So it's an amalgamation of things that are already there, but currently they're all separate.
Yeah.
There you go, challenge. I accept your challenge.
I do agree with Brett's comment, though, that every game you ever downloaded from the App Store is a list of regrets. Oh my
Wow.
gosh, absolutely.
Wow, that is harsh. Harsh
If-
but fair.
You certainly everyone on this panel has done that thing. You've scrolled through the list of app purchases you've made in the App Store, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I did buy
Why
that
did
at some
I buy
point." Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Although there's been some good games too, but yeah.
And alas, some good games that no longer work. That's the
Yes.
worst part.
Yes. Bit of a
Yes.
tragedy there. Although sometimes it's the fault of the developers. So say for instance, Valve didn't do anything at all about the fact when Apple went 64-bit only,
Hmm.
so their 32-bit apps broke. So all the 32-bit games that Valve had created, all they needed to do was tick the box to say recompile this as
Yeah.
64-bit and re-upload it, and they didn't bother. So
They didn't bother. That's right.
Valve is at fault there, I think, for
Yeah.
not, just abandoning. As soon as Apple went 64-bit only, they just abandoned their stuff. It's really annoying.
And then the odd thing are the developers that some of their games were brought forward and some of them weren't, even games within a single series. You might have this first version of the game, second version, third version. First version gets pulled forward, second doesn't, third one gets pulled forward. It's sometimes an odd pattern for developers, and you have to wonder why this one and not that one type of thing.
That's it. Where's the logic? Yeah.
So now they've been talking about changes with visual intelligence, a big update. You press the camera control action button and pull up ratings, and then pull up images, and then you find out more about it. We've got some cool enhancements here.
It's like you can take a screenshot of a picture.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then
That lampshade looks exactly like one I had in the 70s.
Yeah. I like that.
I like Brett.
It's all coming back again now.
I like Brett's
see
comment.
a loot
I like
you'd like to buy, and then you can screenshot it, and it can tell you where you can buy. Or in this case, I guess is you can ask you you can type in there, what is it? I suppose if you don't know what a loot is.
Hey, Dave, go ahead, because I was going to comment on this too.
Yeah, it says Brett just said he nothing justifies me upgrading from my iPhone 13 mini because of course he doesn't have Apple Intelligence or Visual Intelligence available. Yeah. So there's been some rumors though. Apple might, I don't even know if I'm more of a rumor, but maybe a wish list of potentially that phone coming back that size. But I don't know, it might be tough.
Yeah,
that would have to be.
It has not been compelling enough for me. I mean, I'm rocking my iPhone 13 right here. It just
I've got one right here myself. Here
hasn't
my wife's old one.
Been a super
It's funny.
compelling
The users
change.
cried out. The users cried out and said, "We want a smaller phone." And then Apple makes a smaller phone, and then the user says, "We don't want a smaller phone." They don't buy it.
Too small.
Indeed.
iOS. The rate they're going, we're going to be here a while. It's just iOS.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, we're 40 minutes in.
Yet. Oh, here we go. This is the phone. What do they call that? A patchwork of settings there. I can't remember what the word is for that. Oh, look at all that.
Eric knows. It's the feature
apps.
quilt.
The feature quilt. Yes.
Yeah, the quilt. I like to see a good quilt. That's excellent.
So, were the rumors right about the iPhone? I hadn't really followed that
with what?
that or the Mac really for the past few months.
Depends which rumors you.
Yeah.
Yeah, one or two things announced that I heard about previously, but a few things have appeared that are surprises, which is always good. I like a surprise.
Yeah.
With the audio problems we were having at the beginning, I kind of missed the very start of this presentation. Is there any live component to this at all other than the people in attendance? Or is all of this video?
It's all video. The beginning was just that they were...
there was an audience picture at the front.
Yeah. They're watching the video now too. The audience,
but nobody came out on stage and said hi or anything. Just here you go. Here's watch the movie.
I think Tim did.
Tim did.
Yeah, Tim came
good.
Out to,
it wasn't live.
Introduce it.
If you had to have been there to see it.
Okay. Oh, I see. So somebody did come out. We just didn't see it.
Right. It was shown
gotcha.
in Mac Rumors stream showed the picture of it.
Okay. Well, at least somebody's there.
Oh, there's a lot of people there.
No, I meant from Apple
On stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on stage. Yeah.
It is really kind of too bad they don't do the live presentation anymore. I
Yeah,
kind
in
of
a
thought that
way.
they might.
Yeah.
In a way.
I mean, the videos
more.
they can obviously do more and stuff, but I don't know. Sometimes I think the live presentation was a lot more tighter, and now they cram so much in and try to, I don't know.
But it's
Probably
easy to,
possibly too
to
much,
keep it
yeah.
refined.
What'd you
You
say?
know, it's always that.
It's easy to keep things refined when it's recorded.
Yeah,
That's it, yeah. And there is always that chance of something going wrong, which you don't see
Right,
now.
right. That happened with Steve Jobs enough that
That's the best part, though. I mean,
I know.
come
That is
on.
the best
It's
part.
true.
That's right.
And
It's
I
the
don't mean
best
from an
part.
audience perspective, but just from a humanity perspective. It's
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
things.
absolutely.
Look, things are going to happen. Things are going to happen.
Yep.
Not only to us. We're Apple. Look, things are happening. It might happen to you too as you try these betas out. Just work with us. Tell us what's going wrong, and we'll fix it. But if everything appears perfect, then we get what happened this last year, where everyone thought Apple Intelligence was a done deal, and we are going to get all these amazing features.
That's a good point.
And then
And it
They
wasn't.
can't demo it on stage, so it
Nothing.
shouldn't be real.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think I probably need a workout buddy, but I don't think I'll be taking part in that.
Yeah, nothing yet that's press worthy. That's for sure.
Oh no, a generative voice to help you get motivated. Oh, that
No.
sounds awful. No, I don't
No.
want that. Thank you very much.
Nope, not happening. Not turning that
No,
on.
no,
Sorry.
Not that, no.
I already mute all sound from my watch. All sound. I get
Yeah.
nothing from it.
Yeah.
And the reason is email. If Apple could consolidate, I know I've complained about this before, if Apple could consolidate notifications, send me one ding to tell me that email has come in, and then stop dinging for every single email. But at 8 in the morning, when all of these emails start coming in, it's ding, 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 ding. I can't listen to it. So I just mute everything. I don't have any
That's just
notifications come through
fair.
on my watch.
It's the same
be
thing
fair,
with
you might
text
be able-
too. Texts are exactly the
Yeah.
same. It's ding, ding, ding. You're in a
Yeah.
group
Too
text.
much
and it's-
notifications, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, to be fair to Apple, you could possibly do this with a very well customized focus mode. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out how to get into fully expert mode with focus modes, because
Well, there is
you can do some very powerful things.
there is a reduce interruptions focus
There is,
mode that they
yeah.
added, and that does work pretty good. But I haven't really tried it for this, so
And
Yeah.
to be clear, I
creating a
don't
custom
I don't
one.
turn on Do Not Disturb. I don't put it into focus mode. I just
Right.
mute audio.
right.
So I get the
right.
buzzes. I know that
Yeah.
there's an alert. I just
Yeah.
don't have to hear it.
Yeah. Which, for some reason, the buzzes don't bother me as much as the
No,
ding, ding,
they
ding.
don't.
It just like I
In
know
fact, I
because
ignore them
quite
most
right,
of the
yeah.
time.
I'm in a group chat with my daughter and my wife, and they'll be sending texts back and forth, and my watch will be, when I had the audio on, would be going ding, ding. And I'm like, can you just take it to a private chat? And my wife's like, yeah, that's driving me nuts, and it's like, you guys can talk about this yourself.
Yeah, I'm with Brett. This,
Oh, yes.
that would be my kind of notification.
Excellent one, Brett. Yes.
Yeah.
You need a pizza lifting workout mode.
Yeah. Especially some of those pan pizzas those are heavy.
They are.
Wow.
So they added notes to Apple Watch. That's I like that.
Oh,
Okay, yeah,
that's interesting.
That's good. Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm not sure I want to read most of my notes on my Apple Watch,
But you
but
can do
sure.
a quick note
Cool.
from your watch.
Yeah. Yeah, take a note. Yeah, that would be handy,
Right.
especially with the voice to text feature. Yeah.
Yeah, and adding things to an existing note, that sort of thing. Yeah, I can see it working.
And of course, all the liquid glass enhancements that they've done across all the other OSs they're going to do. Now we're moving to tvOS.
This is why I'm going to be rogue, because that's the other thing I want to get a new Apple TV. But
I think
depending
there's
on
going to be a new
what
one, at
comes
least
up,
enhancements.
not today, no, not the hardware at least, but at least I'll be able to see what the software is. But I have one of those on the cards, but that can wait possibly a year or so. But yeah, I'm in the market for an Apple TV. Oh my God, I'm in the market for everything. This is shocking. I'm going to be so broke.
Yeah.
Start buying. Well, you have the Apple Card in the UK, don't you? So you
Nope.
can get the 0% financing. You
Nope.
don't have that?
No, we don't.
Really?
No, we don't have that. No.
I thought you
Shocking.
did.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, it's not good, is it?
It's still in the United States.
It doesn't work
US
on
only,
refurbished.
yeah.
I'll just tell you, it doesn't work on refurbished, which is a darn shame. But
Oh,
Worth
that
a
is.
try.
yeah, 12 months zero financing on new is fantastic.
yeah.
Just don't miss a
Yeah.
payment, or they'll get you.
So
Or
Yeah.
else they come
you
around your
can't miss
house.
a payment. It automatically pays it.
Well, Tim comes by.
That's
Just, you know,
Yeah,
hey, Mike,
Where's your money? Where's the money?
it's
We
the
need
guys
your
in the
money.
black helicopters you got
we
to
need
worry
your money,
about.
Mike. Mine doesn't auto
It'd
pay.
be a
You said
shame if
auto
your
pay,
device
Dave?
is
Mine
not
doesn't
like
auto
that.
pay.
Yeah,
I'm
mine
sorry,
auto
I meant-
pays.
You have to set up. You can set up scheduled payments.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, mine just
But
pops
that
up and
only
says,
works
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're rich, though.
Oh, another $200, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Oh well, I bought all my stuff. It's nice to see I'm down to only 2 items left. I've had so much on mine for the last 2 years.
Nice.
Paid off as of this month. There you go.
Yeah,
Oh, look
Is
at
that
that.
nice?
Look at that.
my MacBook Air just got paid off, so I'm happy.
My iPad Pro just got paid off. So.
So my iPad Pro as well. Yes.
The Mac Mini, different story. That was refurbished. That's a whole nother conversation.
I got the
but-
Mac Mini. That I have my M4 Pro. That's still going.
Yeah.
Must admit, I'm I'm using my devices for longer and longer now.
Yeah.
But they're fully supported for a very long time, so I can. So that's good. But
As long as they're the
I-
M series.
yeah, I used to upgrade my phone quite frequently, at least every 2 years, maybe 3 at a push. But no, my phone is 5 years old. Would you believe?
Hmm?
It's shocking.
Wow.
It's still going strong though. It's still excellent. And I took some shots the other day from my phone and looked at them and was amazed at the quality was absolutely stunning. So I'm still taking excellent shots 5 years down the road, and that's why I like when the new hardware comes out. It's usually over-engineered to last a long time, and that's a really good
Good thing.
good feature, I think. Just the over-engineering of stuff. And sometimes a device will come out and somebody will say, "Oh, it's so expensive," but they don't realize that it's been so highly over-engineered to last a very, very long time, and you can get a lot out of it.
And I think that's why the hard feelings from users sometimes when Apple says, hey, look, that 2018 MacBook Pro is not going to get macOS 26 when it comes out this fall.
Right.
We're like,
Right.
this computer is as wonderful and fast and lovely as it was the day I bought it. And it is over-engineered, and it is, such a
Right.
well-made computer with great specs. And now you're saying I can't use it anymore. And I think that's part of the problem.
Well,
Whereas, you get a Dell and you're
can
like,
use it.
yeah, okay, I can't use it after 6 years. I'll just get another one. You don't get that attachment to your hardware as you do with Apple devices.
Well, that's
Right.
true.
They were showing all the upcoming series. It looks like on Apple TV Plus, and that Slow Horses is really good.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. I love slow horses. Bit
yeah,
of Gary
Yeah.
Oldman. Who doesn't like Gary Oldman?
I know he's really good. Did you see the home pods on the thing? It looks like they're smaller. Is that the
Did they show them?
Craig Federighi?
No. The car. So they did say they're adding profiles on Apple TV. That's awesome. So they can have multiple.
Yeah,
family
that's going to be
members.
good.
I mean,
Oh, that's interesting because the Apple TV app on the Roku has profiles.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Thought we already had profiles on Apple TV.
I don't know. They showed up 6 months ago, something like that. I can switch between
Yeah.
the
Although I must admit I don't use the Apple TV remote, so often I don't get to use some of the more advanced features because I forget where the button might be on my other remote.
Yeah.
It's like all the
I've
other
got one of those-
services. When I start it up, it prompts which account is going to be using the app.
what macOS is going to be called?
Yeah.
Oh yes, is it going to be the rumored name?
It is
Tahoe.
Tahoe.
Yeah, everyone was
Tahoe.
so concerned about the version numbers and how confusing they are. And yet, this naming of macOS confuses more people than anything. When you ask somebody what version they're on, they're like, I don't know, some Sequoia, Yosemite, something or other. Like, well, which is it? I don't know.
It's a bit more difficult for us guys that aren't in the States because a lot of the place names are second nature for you guys, especially how you
Yeah.
spell them. We haven't got a clue, so we try and we can't even spell the name of our OS most of the time. At least
Stonehenge.
with this one, yeah, Stonehenge.
Yeah,
That would be the next,
there you
next
go.
one. But at least with this one, we can actually have a hope of spelling it, which is excellent. Yes, so macOS Tahoe it is.
Oh, Sequoia was nuts. I am so
Yeah.
glad I don't have to
Sequoia.
type Sequoia out anymore.
I didn't like typing Sequoia.
No. I think, our friend Jeff Gammon would call it tall trees. So
Tall trees.
Tall tree.
and I,
macOS
I
tall
think
trees.
he's
I
gonna
like
call
it.
this one Large Lake.
That's good. Yeah, macOS Large Lake. It's got a ring to it.
Yeah. Yeah, he had names for all of them.
Oh, the new thingy center looks very nice.
Control center.
Control center.
Control center, yes. That's the word for it. Yeah, the new control center. Although I'm looking at the old one now, or well, what is now the old one, and that still looks very good as well. So it's
Yeah.
just a refinement.
Liquid glass, so it's transparent.
Yeah, liquid glass
that.
items. Very nice. Very swish. Very modern. Oh, you'll like that, Mike. The menu bar is now completely transparent.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, lovely. I'm so happy. I'm so happy
Yeah.
that's completely transparent now.
The dock.
The dock is at least still got some background to it,
yeah.
which is interesting.
Oh,
Why? Why does Control
border.
Center have the background removed and the menu bar have the background removed, but the dock doesn't?
The dock still has a line around it, a border.
Still has a line or a border around it. And I can
Yeah.
only imagine it's to avoid confusion with the icons on your desktop. That's the only thing I
Yeah.
can think of.
Who would have icons on their desktop?
Oh my
That's
gosh.
shocking.
Do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah.
I can't even count how many
Yeah,
are on
I've
my
got a lot
desktop
of
right now.
icons.
Oh, I have 5 icons on my desktop, and 2 of those are drive
I-
locations.
I see people Windows at Mac when they work. Yeah, they got icons. I mean, I got people who have icons over here somewhere on another screen that they can't even see it.
That's- Oh, an
This is
update in
the goal.
shortcuts.
This is the
That would
goal,
be,
though, for us to make our desktops look as clean and smart and lovely as their preview desktops. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is interesting then, Darren, that you said you have drive icons on your desktop, because that's typically the first thing
Because they
people
don't. Yes,
turn off.
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah,
Yes.
No, I have
Although I
mine
have
on too.
I
I've
do. I like them. I
customized
like
mine
having them there.
to have smaller icons, but I've moved the text from underneath the icon to the side and changed the sizes of the text and everything else. It looks kind of swish. I like it.
Interesting. Well, you're the only one.
Yes, I'm in a group of one. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I do kind of have to agree with Marty here. Let's just call it macOS 26 and stop with the names. If Apple is
Yeah.
insistent on consolidating or unifying the names across platforms, just call it that. Just don't even bother with Tahoe or Sequoia or Yosemite or Big Sur or whatever. Just call it macOS 26 and be done with it. It worked in the 90s.
Microsoft doesn't.
I love the names. I love the names.
Thank you,
I do
Brett.
miss the big cats, though. I miss the big cats.
Yeah, I miss the big cats too. Yeah.
The trouble is we ran out of cats. That's the problem.
Princess.
Well, yes, they could have called it macOS Princess. That would have worked.
That would have worked.
Some enhancements to Spotlight.
Well,
So-
they've rolled all those features from the phone. It looks like rolled into calling on messages and on
Wi-Fi calling.
things like the live translation and stuff like that, built into messages on the Mac as well. Call recording and FaceTime, of course. I'm finding FaceTime very useful.
Oh, they're adding menu bars for specifically for Spotlight to actually initiate an action.
Oh, yes. Add your own shortcuts to your menu bar. I think they're going to have Apple Intelligence features accessible through shortcuts as well, at least some of them.
Right.
So you can build your own intelligence shortcut on your menu bar. Oh, it's going thick and fast now. I can't keep up.
We're showing quick keys. Eric, this is something we talked about on the show before, that with Spotlight, you could use abbreviations to launch apps. And there are obviously other third-party apps that do that sort of thing as well. Now they are actively promoting this as a feature in Spotlight. Quick keys.
He stepped away.
Oh, he did.
You're talking
Well,
to an
there you
empty
go.
chair, I'm afraid,
I'm
Mike.
talking to an empty chair. Well, no wonder I didn't get a
Excellent.
response. I should have been looking over there and not over there or there.
Excellent.
Yes, Marty. You are spot on here. Spotlight is now Sherlocking Alfred. That's right.
Oh, very
Nailed
good.
it.
Yes.
Nailed it. So one thing that I would like to have Eric back for this, because we kind of glossed over it as Apple was discussing it, but apparently there's some pretty major improvements coming to shortcuts. It sounds as if some of your wishes, Darren, of integrating Apple Intelligence with shortcuts are on the way. Now, I'm afraid I kind of missed some of that news, and we'll talk about it in a future episode of the show. But did you happen to catch what they were talking about there?
No, I was sort of inferring from some of the screenshots and from what Dave said, that that would be on the cards for shortcuts as shortcuts was being talked about. So I'm kind of inferring it. So they haven't actually come out and announced the integration of those features yet, but I'm thinking it's right on the cusp of them.
Well, it says there that shortcuts can run a certain time of day, or when you do certain things like connecting to an external display. It's got dedicated actions that you're familiar with, and like summarizing a text with Apple Intelligence. It allows you or using Image Playground, and then build a shortcut to compare your recording from a lecture to the
Yeah,
notes you
yeah.
took. You don't make sure you miss anything.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Interesting.
so they are integrating some Apple Intelligence features into being accessible through shortcuts. Excellent. Of course, you have to proactively sit down and write yourself a shortcut, which is much better and easier than programming anything on any other
Mhm.
system. But you still have to dive in and do it.
And what you wanted was a feature where the shortcut would be written for you, if
Oh,
I recall.
eventually. Yeah, that could be on the cards at some stage, I think, maybe in the future. Not necessarily yet. And of course, you can always invoke an AI now, although the options are limited. So, say for instance, in shortcuts, you can run an Apple script. You can ask an AI to write you an Apple script, and then you can pop that into your shortcut. So you can get around it a way, but I think it's going to be more finessed and better in the future, where it can directly write a shortcut for you.
Hmm.
Oh, more games or something.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. The new games app for the Mac.
Right.
Hey, Eric, while Darren is absorbing the new Games app and will give us a full rundown of it in just a moment,
Uh-oh.
I had asked your empty chair a question. And
Sorry.
well, it wasn't
The
really a
dog.
question, but more a comment. They were showing that Spotlight now is going to have this feature called Quick Keys, where you can type in effectively an abbreviation to carry out an action, which we know Spotlight you could previously type in a couple key letters from an app and it would find that app and you could launch it, which made it a very
Right.
effective launcher of apps. But it
Yeah.
wasn't something that you could carry much beyond the app launching aspect of Spotlight. But now it sounds like with these quick keys, we're going to be able to carry out some of the functions that these third-party apps have been providing to macOS for many years now. Did you happen to catch that as it went by?
No, I didn't. And that is interesting because I always have said that, Spotlight's had Launch Bar Envy, but I mean, they've also, I mean, there's a bunch of other apps like Alfred and a number of others too. So I wonder what that'll do. I wonder if it'll be interesting to see how much that, you know, can do, versus the third party apps. And there's actually a new one too. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but Raycast. That's right.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
but it'd be interesting to see what Spotlight does. It it's something I definitely use when I'm using other people's Macs to, and I have to launch something or do whatever. But
Me too.
yeah, but that'll be interesting. That'll be nice.
Yeah, I like
Um,
to keep my Mac set up uh, very close to stock, so I don't install lots of other things that other people don't have. So it means that when I go to help someone on their Mac, I know exactly the tools because I use all the stock tools. So I don't generally install very much
Yeah,
fancy stuff on top.
yeah. See, I do. I'm one of those people that do that.
No worries, no worries.
I'll run visionOS.
New version of Metal 4. Nice.
What else did they bring to this gaming app, Darren?
Well, funny you should say that. That's mainly the only thing I mentioned. I noticed from the write-ups there. I can just see a screenshot of it, which is looking pretty good. A nice interface for buying, playing, tracking, doing things with games. A games focus. It's a little bit like the classical music version of Apple Music. It's focused to a particular thing. So this is a gaming focus to be able to buy games. It would be nice if they were able to do more special offers, because you do see a game on special offer on one service but not on another. And
Hmm.
often the Apple one says $60 or whatever, and another one says on special offer for 30, but you've gone to the wrong store.
Right.
But mainly
Yeah.
the big one here is Metal 4. So that's going to improve things quite a lot as well, for be able to render things better, more efficiently, faster frames per second, for instance. If only more developers were to take advantage of what you can do with Metal, it'd be really good.
So we had Marty on the other week. Marty is the one of the hosts of Vision Profiles podcast. But we also have Dave on the show, and Dave has a Vision Pro. So certainly some of this that Apple is showing off now is of great interest to you, I imagine.
Yes. And I'm also, if you don't know, I'm a regular contributor on the Vision Profiles
Oh,
podcast
sure.
as
Yeah,
well.
of course.
That just happened recently. So yeah, it looks like right now I'm looking like some enhancements to personas, and it looks, oh my God, it looks so much better.
It
I'm looking
does.
at the because I couldn't stand the personas, at least mine. It was like it looked all blurred, and I look so goofy. That's going to be interesting. And Marty is in the chat says that he Vision OS now remembers where you placed your apps next time you come in. That's a big plus. I agree with that. Um, so so far we've seen some pretty good enhancements. They did add widgets, so that's a new thing for Vision Pro. Being able to customize widgets on the display, so you have like your calendar widget and photos widget. So that's really new with that. And plus, they're talking about the fact that
Oh,
now you can. Looks like they're going to do some enhancements with the iPhone app that allows you to manage Vision Pro a little more streamlined, especially with the toggling between the guest users. So you can just hand off a Vision Pro to somebody, so it allows them to be able to view it without having to go through a lot of hoops. It was really bad at the beginning.
Yeah. A lot of setup hoops every time you wanted someone else to use it, weren't there?
And now you can just give it to them, and you can just authorize whatever is open at the time. So
I've just seen the new personas, and
yeah,
that looks staggeringly amazing.
Yeah, it does.
That looks real. That looks absolute. That looks, it's apart from the fact that she's faded out from the neck downwards, but apart from that, it looks like an actual real person. It's several levels above what anyone else has.
What did you
Especially
see,
those.
Dave?
I saw
Have you
there's a
seen
new
something?
Logitech pen that you can do drawing with the Vision Pro, and I did that as a
Oh,
non-rated prediction on the Mac show. So I'm
That
not
is
getting any
so
points
cool.
for that. Dang it.
That is cool.
That is really cool. Marty and I will be both buying that like tomorrow. Yeah, now they're talking about the immersive video, and that's the biggest thing of the audience, I think, with Vision Pro. I did watch the Bono movie, and I was not impressed. There was very little immersive video. I mean, I
mm.
understand it was a story from his autobiography, but there wasn't much in that one. But some of the other ones are just really amazing with spatial and immersive
Well, even
video.
the images, the pictures was really interesting how
Yeah.
they could do that, make it more 3D, like
Oh, yeah.
three-dimensional.
Yeah, the Metallica concert was insane. I felt like I was there.
I think there's lots of potential there because although
Oh yeah.
they were talking on stage about abilities to play spatial games together in the same room, multiple people with these new personas and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Although they use the word game, that can be used for so many other things, including a lot of educational potential, a lot of training potential, a lot of business services potential, stuff that I've been looking at recently. And that all ties in. Just the fact of being able to play, as they say, it's not really
Hmm.
playing, but being able to experience a spatial app together in the same room. I think that's a potential game changer for visionOS. Even though it's presented as a game, it needn't be a game. It could be lots of other things that use the same technology.
Yeah. But those looks like some pretty big updates for Vision
Vision Pro, yeah.
Oh
Vision
yeah,
Pro.
that's
Yeah.
huge. And they did some talk about some that interests me, the enterprise potential updates for that. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
interesting to see where that goes. I didn't get much of the detail, but I'm sure they weren't going to hit it much.
Well, the team sharing seems really cool.
Yeah, team sharing. Yep.
I think one of the things they're going to allow is to be able to validate a login when you put a headset on against AD or some other enterprise user login validation. So then you can build a whole like training suite around Vision Pros, and all anyone has to do is to pick up an element and put it on, and then it will log you in. So potentially that could be very good on the enterprise side too. I think there's a good future for Vision Pro, even though people initially were like not really making fun of it, but not really seeing the potential. And I think they're missing some of the potential that is there.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it, Darren, is not making fun of it. I don't think people were making fun of it
Yeah, not
as
necessarily.
such.
They weren't.
It was the not understanding or seeing, as you said, the potential for what it could become, even if it's not
Right.
there quite yet.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting that they moved on to iPadOS after visionOS and didn't pair it up with iOS as they're so similar. So does that imply
Yeah.
perhaps a new vector or new direction for iPadOS as we move forward with version 26?
Well, the way they went into it was they were talking more or less that a lot of the features that are in iOS translates right over to iPadOS. He was through that pretty quickly.
Well, there's a new windowing system on
Multitasking.
iPad.
Yeah. Big thing.
Multitasking.
Enhancements.
Remember we said you could multitask on the iPad before? Now you really can.
Yeah,
You really can.
I struggled with it
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Oh, look at the little macOS buttons up there.
Yep. Yep.
Interesting. So we really are talking a brand new direction for iPadOS here.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
The only thing I'll say about those buttons is they do not seem conducive to touch.
Well, that was the downfall of Windows 8, wasn't it?
It was
supposed to be
yeah.
An amalgamation of a touch. It was never a touch first OS, and it was never a keyboard first OS. It was just in between, and it was a horrible experience for either. So I can see why Apple have always shied away from making tiny touch focuses onto a touch first OS. It doesn't suit, but I'm sure Apple kept it apart like that on purpose. It just seemed to make sense, you know. I personally wouldn't want a lot of Mac interface controls on the iPad because it doesn't suit it, and vice versa.
Right. No, I agree. You mentioned Windows 8, sure, but even Windows 11 in a touch environment
To a certain extent,
is
it's not very nice.
It's not a pleasant experience. Windows
yeah.
is designed for keyboard and mouse. Sorry, Microsoft,
Yes,
it's just not designed for touch.
It just is. That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like multitasking is a lot more seamless. You can open multiple apps and it
Yeah.
just goes just like any other, like on macOS, you open up multiple windows. You can move them around, size them. I think that's huge. That is really huge.
Now, to address my concerns about the touchability of the stoplight icons, it's really interesting to see how that works. You touch the top left corner and they embiggen to make
Yeah.
them much easier to touch.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's it. It's a more reactive
Oh, there's gonna be a
OS.
menu bar.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
There's a floating menu bar. Oh my
That's
God.
Oh,
It's
that
Mac.
was
nice.
one
Okay.
of
This is Pages.
Oh, dogs and cats living together.
More reason to have a keyboard and a touchpad now.
Yep.
Wow, look at that.
I didn't get a Magic Keyboard for my 13-inch iPad Pro.
You
Well.
didn't?
Might have to now.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I still,
Yeah,
I,
I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I still contend that if you have to get to the point where you're purchasing a keyboard and mouse or trackpad or something for an iPad, and you're putting that big of an investment into it because you need that functionality, just buy a MacBook Air. Don't bother with the iPad.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
That-
I still like
don't-
the
I don't get
iPad,
it.
To use it as an iPad.
though. Yeah.
I
So now that
I
I
have
have
a
files too.
keyboard where I could keyboard to it. And one of the other rumors, I'm not sure if that's going to come up on the iPad, but on the iPhone instead. So, like being able to use, what's it called? Um, oh, I've lost it now. Stage Manager, that's it. So possibly when you plug your phone into your TV, and you get a desktop-like display rather than a phone display, it could switch over into Stage Manager mode, kind of like Samsung does with DeX. But so that could be quite kind of useful actually. So say you go, you're going to a hotel room and you plug your phone into the TV there, you've got a nice little desktop setup just running from your phone potentially.
You can put folders in the dock. That's nice.
Oh, we can already put folders in the dock, I believe.
For the iPad.
Yeah, I've done it before. I think. I'm second guessing
Yeah.
myself now. I'm sure I've done that.
I don't know if we've had the ability to put folders on there like what they're showing though.
Yeah.
They're demoing folders in the dock, much like macOS,
wow,
where
this
Like
is
the Mac. Yeah.
this is a different type of folder. I see. Yes, it's more like a dynamic folder. That's different. Yeah.
yeah, I almost feel like this is similar to the introduction of the iPhone. Remember, you have your music playing device, you've got your
Yeah.
device that can make phone calls, you've got this.
Yeah,
Oh,
internet.
they're all in one. It's the iPhone.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like they're working towards, yeah, I know we called this iPad OS 20 or iPad OS 26, but it's really Mac OS 26. Surprise.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
eventually.
No,
perhaps.
I kind of think that's the way they're going.
Well, just so long as it intelligently adapts to what you have it plugged into and attached to, for instance. So if more and more Mac-like features appear when you add a keyboard or plug it into an external display, that's fine. Just as long as it intelligently changes focus from what an iPad experience is usually like. So that would be fine.
I think that to answer Marty's question for the iPad, developers should be able to create their pro level apps now. I mean, a lot of the problems, the issues with the iPad is that the hardware has always been capable, but the other thing isn't, the software isn't there. But this with this multitasking and stuff like that, I mean, there shouldn't be anything left for the developers to say, hey, well, we need this, we need that in order to create this app or make this app.
That's quite nice that there's now going to be a preview app for the iPad, which will be very much like the Mac version of preview. Yay, preview!
Yeah, preview on the iPad. That's awesome.
Finally.
Yeah, actually, it was. It's like it should always have been there, isn't it? But
I think if you have a proper file manager, a proper finder, if you will, then preview's a necessity. And what they've been showing off is
yes.
a file system much more akin to what we have on the Mac, and preview's a
Yeah,
necessity. So yeah, I think it's about time something like that came to it.
absolutely. Well, they've just said we're supercharging your files app. So as you say, that goes hand in hand with preview now.
So background tasks, there's another thing. So that was a big rip on Final Cut Pro. If you started exporting something and it was taking a while, if you left or something happened,
Yeah.
you had to start over. Now it
Yeah.
continues going.
Yeah, I can see why they did it early on in the early development of Pro apps on the iPad, because iPadOS was based on the phone, iOS, and that had a particular focus to say background apps weren't allowed to run for longer than a few minutes, or else it would sap the battery so much you'd all be complaining. So, but no, things have moved on, of course. So iPad is going in its own direction away from the phone now, so they can both behave very differently with things like background tasks, which is a good thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think, just to build on to what Eric was saying earlier, that also, to answer Marty's question, is by demoing this stuff with Apple's apps, they're opening up the eyes of developers to how they can incorporate this stuff into their own apps.
Yes.
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 Yeah, especially the multitasking, especially things like background tasks. That's going to be huge for third-party developers.
Certainly is.
But then to Darren's point, there's going to have to be some sort of dampening put in place to help assure that an app isn't running rampant in the background and just draining the battery. Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is the problem that often Android users have, because there aren't very much in the way of controls for background running tasks. So you could have something run rampant in the background and sapping all of your battery easily on an Android device that currently just doesn't happen on iOS or iPadOS or iPhone OS.
Yeah. They'll have to make it clearer to users how to close off apps, how to make sure that they are completely quit and no longer running in the background, if it's something that could potentially be resource intensive.
Well, hopefully that means that users don't carry on trying to close every single app out of memory all the time. That they, I sometimes see people do that you just do not need to do. Don't do it.
Yeah.
You're making life worse for yourself. What you're actually doing is you're taking the whole app out of memory. So the next time you try to access it, it has to load everything again from scratch. And you're actually using more battery and more resources than you did if you just left it there. So don't do it.
Yeah.
Yes. As you were saying, developers are going to be able to take full advantage of these new background tasks through APIs. That's going to make a big change to a lot of what developers are able to do, because they can just now request things through the operating system in a nice secure way, and things are handled, memory dynamically handled by the OS for all of these features, as nature intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they really are diving into the developer tools, definitely out of my area of expertise. But the icon composer looks pretty cool.
So, yeah, that does look pretty slick.
It's interesting. They have never really gone deep into this on Keynote before.
No,
I
not in
remember.
Xcode like this.
Oh, diving into Xcode now. Wow.
They're rapping.
Oh, there's some nice design tools there to be able to finally see what you're really creating rather than having to throw things into a simulator. This is better from a developer point of view.
It does feel like maybe we're wrapping up, though.
Yep. Says developer beta
Yeah,
is
Tim's
available
out
today.
there.
Public beta will be in July, just like normal.
Yes, this could be it. This could be so no new hardware.
Today,
Not yet, anyway.
Dave.
Not today.
No. Developer beta today.
Developer beta today. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, developer beta
yes.
today. Yeah.
Excellent. Start your engines.
Yeah.
Musical of reading app reviews, app store reviews.
Wow.
That thing.
The
You know-
guy singing review.
Uh-oh. Oh, that'll be fun to look into later. I'll be playing this later on.
We'll have to play that back a little bit later.
That's so awesome.
Marty asked in the chat room, or commented, I should say, in the chat room, not even a hint at new hardware. And
Yeah.
it's
Which we expected.
not necessarily a normal thing to have new hardware introduced at WWDC. It really is a software developers conference, and that's the intention. In some cases, it's necessary, though. In cases where Apple Silicon was introduced or the Vision Pro was introduced, they have to introduce or at least talk about the hardware so that they can then talk about the things coming to the operating systems. But the one thing that we didn't hear about is, and maybe this is what Marty was talking about, is a new home device, which the rumors had been pretty strong on, and they didn't even really talk about homeOS.
Other than tvOS.
Other than tvOS, they
Outside
didn't really talk
tvOS.
about Apple in the home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
It's
talked
difficult
about
now.
pretty
That's a bit-
extensively about homeOS and was it going to be a thing, and we predicted it a little bit there too, but because it needs to be refined, because the HomePod is just brutal when it comes to software the way it's supported right now. It's just been, again, quoting our friend Jeff Gamet, it's just it's a train wreck, right, with the with the way in the HomePods, HomeOS is whatever you want to call it.
I
is
was
installed.
confused actually because I was thinking, how is this going to work? Because of course, tvOS has homeOS aspects to it, and homeOS has iOS and tvOS aspects to it, and how is homeOS going to be integrated, or not even integrated? Maybe is it going to be separate? I mean, does that mean tvOS gets less homey? Or is how is it going to? I couldn't see how it was going to work because there's a current amalgamation between tvOS and homeOS, so I don't know what's going to happen there with the TV side of things.
Yeah, and maybe they're going to have a whole separate, event for that, for the homeOS. The one thing I don't know, I mentioned this before, but when they were talking about tvOS, they had like what looked like two mini HomePods, but they weren't the HomePod mini shape. I mean, they weren't like the typical mini. They looked like the regular HomePod, but they were smaller. And so I wonder if that was like a little foreshadowing of something that's going to come about or exactly what it was. So
Yeah. I'd like it to not be another device because I do already like the fact that my Apple TV is also my home server. Um, so I like the fact that they're both amalgamated already. I wouldn't like to have to buy another device to run homeOS on. And if it was running homeOS, then where's tvOS going to go?
yeah, I don't think so
Or
much
would they
for
be the same
that.
thing?
Yeah, I think it's just like they would be also coming out with a new because HomePods already are a hub, just like an
Yeah,
Apple
but they
TV
have
can
no
be a hub.
screen. Exactly, yeah, but they have no screen currently. So does that mean that the current tvOS will be amalgamated into homeOS, perhaps? Who knows?
Yeah, I guess maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
I think one of the rumors that I liked was the possible return of, some sort of router, some sort of,
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to see that. That would solve my
yeah,
networking problems.
Yeah, that
something
would
that
be.
can serve as that centerpiece, or perhaps a combination router and Apple TV and
That's it. Yeah,
HomePod. I don't know.
I used to
That would
like the
sure be
time
great.
machine capsule. I
Yeah,
used to like
time
having a
capsule.
time machine, which was a time capsule exactly. Yeah, which was an amalgamation of the networking side and a storage side. I quite liked that. It's a shame that
Yeah.
that disappeared.
My
Yeah,
opinion is I think Apple just wanted to be out of the networking business. It
Yeah,
just
they
doesn't.
wanted to. I don't blame them.
You got great things like I have an Arrow. I love it. It works great. They've got more enhanced. They're enhancing it all the time. I mean, they already got Wi-Fi
oh
7
yeah.
Arrows, and it does. They just work well. I mean, and being able to manage it from an app. I know it's more. It's not as geeky as like having like a Netgear or a D-Link or one of those, but it's just a simple way to manage a network with Wi-Fi. And Apple had it kind of the same way. I mean,
You
with the airport utility um, and all that. So Eero, I think, is probably a good choice of someone who is looking to upgrade to be very somewhat similar to what Apple did with their Airport series.
Yeah.
you can get pretty geeky though with Euro. I mean, because I've got them as well, and
Uh,
I mean they have a lot of options. And yeah, the thing
mhm.
is, it's sort of like Apple just got out of it, and then everybody else got into it. Like
Right.
they had you could buy multiple boxes and white boxes and put them around the house and,
Yep.
spread your Wi-Fi. And then they got out of that. And then it was like Amazon came out with Euro and some other ones. And I know they probably just wanted to get out of the network, but it's kind of,
Yep.
they were one of the first ones in it, especially with Wi-Fi. I mean, they literally debuted Wi-Fi. I mean, I'm sure there was somebody else there too, and I know there was other people in the group, but
Yep.
they literally came out with it. And I've always kind of thought of it the same thing as with their monitors. They don't need to make a monitor, but they should, because it's kind of like saying this is what we think a good monitor should be. And a
Hmm.
monitor is
Yeah,
something that you look at all the time. And I think that's the
yeah,
same thing with the router too. They could be just more from the standpoint of this is what a good router should be, sort of thing. But yeah, I guess they got bigger things
yeah,
to deal
yeah.
with.
Well, back in the day, they made it simple when everybody else was making it complicated, which
Yeah.
I liked. And like you say about the monitor, um, I mean, you can sort of get a reasonably good 5K monitor, but it's difficult to get an ultra high quality 6K monitor. You
Yeah.
try and buy one of those at any decent price,
Yeah.
and you won't come anywhere near an Apple display. I'm happy to pay the extra for something like that because of the accuracy and what it displays. So if you're a designer, you would really want something like that. Um, so yeah, I missed the sorry, Mike, I missed the old um, uh,
Airports.
networking gear that Apple had. Indeed, the airports. That's it.
Yeah.
I missed those.
They were so easy
Yeah.
to set up. They were great for small businesses. They were great for homes. But as Dave pointed out and Eric pointed out, the Eros are a wonderful analog. So are other brand routers.
Yeah.
TP-Link
Yeah.
has a line called the Deco, also app
Hmm.
managed. Netgear, I believe, has a line also app managed. There's a lot that are very, very similar in scope, in certainly more advanced in capabilities. But in terms of just setup and ease of deployment, there's so much out there now that Yeah, I think all of you are right. Apple led the way. Apple set the standard and then said, "Go run with it." And
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
happened. And they've done this time and time and time again, not only introducing wireless to computers, introducing optical drives to computers, then later taking the optical drive out. And then what do you know? Everybody else started taking the optical drive out. Apple does set standards. And
Yeah.
oftentimes once those standards are set and everybody else is following it, Apple says, well, we don't need to do it anymore. We're done. We
Yeah.
did what we
We're
needed to
done.
do. We raised the bar across the line, and now we can move on to something new like Vision Pro or what have you. So yeah, it's going to be interesting what the future brings in terms of homeOS. But I did want to bring up a couple comments in the chat room. One is from Martine, who said he has to say it was a bit underwhelming for me. And also Brett, who says he agrees for all the attention that was spent on the new design, it's more pretty than useful. Yeah, I think Brett's pretty spot on with that. I mean, most of what I saw is visual, not functional. But let's go around the panel here real quick. Talk about what we saw today. Talk about what impressed you or didn't impress you, and then we'll wrap things up. And I think we'll start with you, Darren, since you're the one who's got his credit card out and is ready to buy new hardware as the software is introduced. What impressed you or didn't impress you today about what Apple demoed?
Well, actually, from that comment, it was very interesting and entirely fair. Yes, it is more visual than feature packed. But then this was sort of always the case because whenever there's a big visual redesign, Apple never puts them together with a lot of function changes. So they usually follow one with the other. So I think once or twice in the past they've been bitten whereby they bring out lots of function changes and a visual refresh,
Hmm.
and things get rather confusing for people. But so they tend to now just do one first and then bed in a new visual design if it's going to be like that, and then they'll follow that up with more functional changes later on in the next release. So I think that's actually quite sensible to do it that way rather than bombarding people with a huge number of changes. So if you're going to change visually, you usually don't want to also change the function drastically as well at the same time, because there's going to be a lot of confused people. So yeah, I think this is the right way to do it, and I agree that it is more of a visual design than a functional design, but that's to be expected, I think. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased. There's a lot of things I was looking forward to. I like the fact that there's a lot of bringing together of all the operating systems and cross-pollination there, and some cohesiveness in the releases so that they're all on the same page. And yeah, that's one of the top ones for me, the top things.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Darren. Um, iPadOS in particular. I think it's the first time I've seen an upgrade to iPadOS where I said, huh, well, look at that. I can actually envision this being a productivity device now. And I know there are plenty of other folks out there who do use it as a productivity device, but it's always been an awkward experience for me. And now looking at this, I say, I think I could make that work. Now, I don't have a device that can run iPad OS 26 at the moment, unfortunately, but it might get me to actually upgrade for the first time in several years because I see this promise. But then on the other hand, making it more Mac-like may be the catalyst here. That may be what makes me say I can see this be a productivity device. So it'll be interesting to hear from folks who have been using it as a productivity device, now seeing these changes, how they feel about those changes now that it's bringing itself a little bit closer to what we have on the Mac. How about you, Dave? What what today impressed you or didn't impress you about WWDC 2025? I almost said 26.
Well, I guess I'm gonna start with visionOS. I think the all new Persona is huge. I think that's gonna really. I'm glad to see that they improved it. I'm curious to see what this Logitech Muse, the stylus pen, see what that's all about. That's going to be really cool. Adding widgets to Vision Pro is going to be great, and then being able to share even more easily with the device sharing and Teams sharing. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that all goes. On iOS, I think, and across all the OSs, honestly, is the liquid glass. I like it. I like it. I'm impressed with it. I think it's something that that's really going to be something that's great. And I really look forward to doing the beta test it and see how it does things here. And a lot of the enhancements they did with iOS, I won't have to go through all of them. I agree with you on iPadOS. iPadOS is looking more and more like more macOS like with menuing, especially when we saw pages in the menu at the top and looked exactly like a macOS window. So Apple Watch probably not so exciting. I know there's not much they could do with it. Some of the enhancements with Control Center was okay, but that was probably of all the ones I wasn't overly excited about what they did on watchOS. But that's all I can give you. I could go on, but there's plenty of others to talk about here.
Well, you mentioned that Logitech pen, and you said you're certain you and Marty and probably Eric Bolden are gonna run out and get that right away. And again, that's one of those things where I looked at that and said, "Huh, that's really interesting." Now, my desire to experience it is more understanding how it interprets where I'm placing the information I'm trying to write in the space around me. I'm curious how that'll work, but that really did open up my eyes, and I said, "Wow, that looks pretty cool. I could see maybe using something like that at some point in the future. I'm not sure what on yet, but at some point, it's pretty cool." Eric, we're going to wrap up with you. Anything impress you today?
Yeah, well, definitely. I think I'm kind of like, I agree though with the standpoint of there wasn't a lot of huge productivity features, although I think with the iPad there was. I think I liked what they did with the Mac. I really like the liquid glass across the platforms. I like that look. I think it's going to be a great update. I also did like the visual changes they did with the Mac too, where you can kind of have all one color, and I think they showed it like dark, and it's still like a transparency, but it was dark. Yeah, and I guess it'll just be a matter of using it. The iPad I was really excited about because I had heard the rumors kind of made it sound like that they were going to go that route with the multitasking, and I kind of think they had to, because people had been clamoring for that, and they did Stage Manager, and that kind of was, better than what they had, but it still wasn't really there. And I think that they just pushed it now the rest of the way. And like, I think like Marty and somebody else said, they didn't care for the three dots above it, when, at the top of the window, and I didn't either. And I think having those three Mac buttons on the left is a better deal. Because that's really all the three dots just, it was like a more thing that brought up, other options, but most of them were just close the window, minimize the window, add something else. And so I think this is just going to be a lot better. And I also think that maybe we'll, get that. This is probably moving towards that hardware that we've been talking about forever, which is, the kind of iPad Mac hybrid sort of thing. So I don't know, how that would look or what that would be, but obviously if you get the iPads in there with their own M series processor like they have, and you get this multitasking in there like that, and it's a lot more capable. I'm thinking that a lot more could be done. So on the hardware end of it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting once this developer beta gets out and we start to learn a little bit more about what's coming. And from my perspective in macOS, that's really where my interest lies. You mentioned the
Yeah.
control center, and we were also talking earlier about the neatness or lack thereof of our desktops. And this is one of the situations where when you pop down that control center and it has a transparent background, how will that work? How will that look on a busy desktop like I have? How well
Right.
might something like that work? How well will a completely transparent menu bar work when you have a busy desktop? So, a lot of these things look really, really cool in demo, but we'll just have to see how they work in real life. And, if I find that it's awesome, I'm going to leave it on for sure because I did think it looked really cool. But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it doesn't work with my Mac, and how I use it, well, I'm going to be going for that accessibility reduced transparency feature right away. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But awesome. Thank you guys for joining me. And I think that's going to do it for this episode of For Mac Guys Only. As the week rolls on and WWDC continues, we're going to be hearing more and more about what was announced today. We're going to get more details about what was announced. And there may even be some new surprises that are often introduced in the days after the keynote. So we'll be tuned into that and be ready to discuss it in the next episode of For Mac Guys Only. In the meantime, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Remember, I do love to get your letters, so if you have any comments about the show, a tip to share, or a software or hardware problem with your Mac, you can leave your thoughts in this week's show notes found at formacguysonly.com, or you can drop me a line, mike@formacguysonly.com. And do be sure to subscribe to the show's YouTube channel at youtube.com/FMEOTV and click that little notification bell so you can find out when we're going live. You can join the chat room like everybody who's in the chat room today. Thank you to Marty and Brett and Martine and Brian. And who am I missing? Oh, I know Dave was in there, but he said he can't leave a comment because he's not subscribed to the show.
I am.
But click that little notification bell so you can find out when we're going live, join the chat room, and you can catch all the behind the scenes stuff that doesn't make the final cut of the show, like my little joke there a moment ago. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Thanks to Eric and Darren and Dave for joining me this episode. Oh, let's talk about where everybody can be found. I'm sorry, Dave, where's the best place for folks to get a hold of you?
You could find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. You also can find me on Mac Voices Live every Tuesday night with our crew. So we have a blast doing that. We'll be recapping everything tomorrow. And you can find me on Vision Profiles with Marty Gencius and Eric Bolden. We'll be recording the show tonight. So we're going to have a busy week of podcasts.
Busy week.
I'm on the Mac. I'm going to be on the Mac Show, which is on Fridays with the British Tech Network. Yeah, I can't be much else this week. So, but Mastodon and Blue Sky, I'm over there at Dave G65. Thanks so much for having me, Mike. I always enjoy being here.
I'm so glad you could join us, Dave. And Eric, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
Still the same, Eric at formacguysonly.com. That's usually the best, the single best place to reach me.
And Darren, of course. How can folks reach you if they'd like to?
Oh, yeah, no. If anyone wants to send me any insightful emails, that would be excellent. Send them to Darren@formacguysonly.com, and I shall dive into some very interesting emails for sure.
Very cool. All right, now I'll do my final wrap up. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Thanks to Eric and Darren and Dave for joining me this episode. Stay subscribed, and we'll talk to you next time. And before we wrap up, a couple more comments here from the chat room. I'll put out in the live stream. These won't make the audio show, of course. Let me put Brett's up there. Brett wanted to comment on some pros, and that is the redesigned Photos app. Yeah, that's a good point. Camera, CarPlay enhancements, new maps, and messages features. And he also had a few cons, and I think I have to agree with Brett here. Trying to read any text on the liquid glass interface.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Brett. And again, I think we're going to have to find out once it starts getting into people's hands, it's no longer, and that's going to happen this week. No longer just in demo mode, no longer just being shown to us in a video, but we get to actually experience or see other people experience it firsthand. I think that's when we're going to better understand how this new liquid glass interface is going to look on both the iPhone and the Mac. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Embrace the transparency.
Yeah.
Did you say praise the transparency?
Embrace.
Oh, no, embrace.
Embrace.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a
Right.
weird thing to say, Darren. Embrace the transparency.
Exactly.
It gives you a warm
warm
feeling,
hug.
just like glass does.
Wow.
All right. We're going to wrap up. Guys, I'm going to end the live stream and then I'll bring you back on again, okay? All right.
All right.
No
Bye,
worries.
everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Thanks for joining us.
Bye. Cheers.